For 3 decades, the Gabba was Australia's fortress, unbeaten, unbreakable, and in January 2021, it was defended by a full-strength Australian side against an Indian team missing its captain and half its first-choice bowling attack. The man left holding the fort wasn't the star. He was the stand-in, Ajinkya Rahane, the silent sentinel. Born in Ashwi, raised in Mumbai's unforgiving cricket ecosystem, Ajinkya Rahane was never the loudest name in the room. He built his game the old way, through mountains of domestic runs, unglamorous and relentless. His technique was compact, his temperament unshakable. By the time he debuted for India in Test cricket in 2013, he already had a reputation. Give him time, and he would give you a century. He announced himself immediately, 100 on debut against Australia, chasing the game down in the 4th innings. While many Indian batters struggled to translate home form abroad, Rahane thrived on the toughest tours. 100 at Lord's in 2014, twin 50s in tricky conditions in South Africa, a defiant century in Wellington. He became known as India's most reliable batter outside the subcontinent, a man whose game was built for seaming wickets and hostile crowds, not just flat decks back home. In 2017, he was named Test vice-captain. Understated, as always, no fanfare, just another responsibility, quietly accepted. Then came the lowest point. Adelaide, December 2020. India bowled out for 36, their lowest Test total ever. Virat Kohli flew home for the birth of his child. The tour and the series was suddenly Rahane's to carry. Nobody outside the dressing room believed India could recover. 4 days later, at the MCG, Rahane walked out as captain for the first time in a true crisis and responded with a serene, chanceless century. India won the Test. The series was level. What followed was one of the great rearguard stories in Test cricket. A depleted, injury-ravaged Indian squad, debutant bowlers thrown into the deep end, somehow survived Sydney and then, remarkably, won at the Gabba. Rahane didn't do it with fiery speeches. He did it by backing untested players, staying still under pressure, and letting the team believe it belonged. India won the series 2-1, arguably Indian cricket's greatest overseas triumph, and it happened on Ajinkya Rahane's watch, the years after Brisbane were unkind. Form deserted him. He was dropped from the Test side in 2022. Many wrote him off, but the same grit that built his career took him back to the domestic circuit, scoring heavily for Mumbai, captaining with the same quiet authority, waiting for another chance. He was never the most talked-about cricketer of his generation, but when Indian cricket needed someone to hold the line, in a crisis nobody had a plan for, Ajinkya Rahane simply did. Not with noise, with runs, with resolve, and with a captaincy record that will be remembered long after the moment has passed.